Hello and welcome to another episode of The Red Stream. My name is Amelia and I will be your host today, together with my partner in crime, Alicia Kozera.
Hey guys!
And we have two amazing new guests, so please give a warm welcome to Filip Dovnar, gameplay lead designer.
Hi.
And Rafał Obremski, sorry, I have to read that title, gameplay designer and gameplay design coordinator.
Hello.
Very long title.
Yeah, whenever someone asks, I just say that I make games. That's my...
Make simple.
Just like all of us.
Exactly.
Okay guys, so a couple of weeks ago we met you for the first Red Stream about Update 2.0 and Phantom Liberty, and we told you some more about Dogtown, some of the characters coming with the expansion. We talked about car combat, new reworked perks and attributes, as well as the relic skill tree from Phantom Liberty, and we also went over the revamped police system. And today we have even more changes and new features to go through. So we will start with airdrops, a new open world activity from Phantom Liberty. Then we will go through combat AI enhancements. We will also go through cyberware changes, net running changes, balance and economy changes, UI changes. So, there's a lot of changes to go through.
Sorry.
You will probably be able to download the update before we finish the stream. It will be available from 5 p.m. CEST today. And if you are wondering how much space you need, let me help you with that. So for PlayStation 5, you're gonna need 38 gigabytes of space. For Xbox, you're gonna need around 52 gigabytes of space. And for PC, around 33 gigabytes of space. So hopefully after the stream, you will be able to jump right into Update 2.0 in Cyberpunk 2077. Unfortunately, today we are not with you live, but we will hold a Q&A session at the very end with questions that we gathered from our Discord and our forums asked by you. So, the Update 2.0 will be available after the stream. Let's jump in.
Yeah, so, guys, gameplay overhaul, philosophy behind 2.0. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. First and foremost, it's called 2.0 for a reason. I don't think we left any stone unturned in terms of gameplay. We did a great overhaul over almost all of our systems. So the philosophy behind it, the main thing we had in mind while working on it, we are CD Projekt Red, we are storytellers. And we are telling the stories not only in narrative part of the game, but also in gameplay. And in gameplay, it's up to the player to decide how the story looks exactly, what kind of character they are, what kind of play style they are using, and all of this we wanted to be actually made consciously by player. All of the decisions in regards to the character they are.
Yeah, it's all really about the RPG element, role playing. Of the whole thing. We wanted the builds and the cyberware to be more immersive, for the players to represent themselves more through those. The builds are more distinctive. Your choice when it comes to cyberware is also much bigger and richer. So it was really all about just giving this freedom of actually being able who I want to be in this world while having this glorious adventure.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I can't wait to, see what our players think of the update. So, let's just start with what Alicia already mentioned. So let's go to airdrops. What can we say about airdrops?
So the most important thing, they're super awesome. We love airdrops. And basically, airdrops are a new open world activity, and that happens only in the Dogtown area. You will not see this on a minimap, but it's quite hard to miss. You will hear the AV dropping the big package on the Dogtown area.
Flying over the district.
Exactly, and there are flares that will guide you where they are. Getting to airdrop itself, it's a little bit challenging. We wanted for it to be not only the challenge in terms of the encounter that happens there, but also sometimes it is quite challenging to get to the location itself.
Or even how to approach it, from which side.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, it's also, you can maybe try stealth approach or something like this. But as I mentioned, the combat is also a little bit challenging there, sometimes even quite challenging, I would say, because the loot there is also something that we wanted to be worth it. The airdrops, important thing to mention, they are an endless loop of combat, and loot. So you can do them forever, but that does not necessarily mean that the combat is the same for every encounter. It very much differs. So you can try it out, play around, try different airdrops and see how they change. Because yeah, as I mentioned, they are awesome, right? So.
Yeah, we have like multiple spots. Those spots have like different versions of those encounters, and what's also really cool is that as you will be like doing them, you'll be leveling up, and your possibilities, your abilities to approach them will also be different. So even when you come back to get the airdrop, how you tackle it can be different depending on how your playstyle has evolved.
All right, sounds good. And you mentioned that it will be challenging. So I assume there are like various guards of this airdrop of the loot, right? Can we maybe talk about the changes to the AI and to the combat enhancement that we did in 2.0?
For 2.0, we focused in terms of AI itself. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We focused rather on building on top of what we already had. But that being said, we did quite a lot. We especially in stealth. So, for example, if you try to approach this airdrop in stealth, as we mentioned, you probably would notice that having a silenced pistol, the enemy you could probably see a situation in which the enemy does not hear the gunshot because of the silenced weapon, but the fact that they will see the bullet will start. They will start investigating. Hey, there's a bullet here. Like, probably, guys, we are in danger. Maybe let's start investigating where this bullet came from. And their search behaviors also changed. They will be a little bit more challenging in this manner. So, with our changes to stealth, we also wanted for AI to maybe catch up a little bit.
They can extrapolate the bullet trajectory and like know where the bullet is coming from to like influence their search behavior and patterns. It's just more realistic and believable.
Exactly.
So smart.
Yes. In terms of AI, we also focused on changing some of the archetypes we already had in the game, but they are now so different that you could probably call them distinctive and different, or new. So we focused really a lot on changing the Netrunner in terms of AI, and that's an awesome change because that was one I was personally waiting for after playing the game. And from now on, Netrunner will no longer only try to damage you. It's a huge change because from now on, we wanted enemy Netrunners to be more in like live inside of the Cyberpunk world, because Netrunners in Cyberpunk are those a little bit more smart personalities. So from 2.0 in AI, Netrunner will try to, for example, upload a cyber malfunction on you, maybe weapon jam,
Restart optic.
yes, blind hack, and in some critical situations they will also try to upload system collapse on you, which is if you don't.
This one you don't want to have.
Yes, let's just say that. If you see system collapse, you should probably try to interrupt it, because this stays the same. You can always interrupt it.
The coolest thing about this is not even that they became smarter. That too. But first and foremost, the way it changes how you approach combat at the very moment, because as Rafał mentioned, we have numerous different quick hacks, which are very different, and they affect you differently depending on what type of playstyle you prefer and in what kind of situation you are. If you're vulnerable, then restart optics is something different than when you're safe and hidden. So you have to be on your toes, think about your surroundings, and depending on the situation, make those small decisions like, should I go after the Netrunner or continue what I was doing and like take it straight on.
But
Exactly.
as a player, we can also defend against Netrunners,
Absolutely.
right? We can have our own eyes that it won't allow them to hack us.
Yes. We even have like the cyberware that is negating those quick hacks from time to time on cooldown. If you feel like it's a problem, then there is the cyberware to help you with this.
Yes, exactly. Plus, some things stay the same. For example, netrunners will still try to use proxies as their bodies to hack you through them, so you don't always have to find the netrunner themselves,
yeah.
but maybe try to find a proxy.
Yeah.
Other archetype that we worked quite a lot in general is the elite archetype. From now on, you will see them on the battlefield a little bit more clearly because they have skulls, red skulls above their head. Yeah, that's something.
Clear.
Yeah, exactly. Something we in general worked on quite a lot in from 2.0 to make you really aware who you're fighting. So not only elites will have distinctive UI on them, other rare enemies, for example, will have a different health bar. Two chunks. Elites will have 3 chunks. You will be able to spot it quite easily. And elites themselves are really revamped and kind of tougher versions of the enemy. They change quite a lot in terms of who should you target, how your playstyle actually is affected by them being on the battlefield, because probably you could try to play into more of a person that focuses on crowd control and damaging a lot of different enemies at one time. But the fact that elites are a thing that there's a singular enemy that is a little bit tougher makes you rethink your playstyle. Maybe I want to have something that will allow me to focus on a singular target as well. Or not, It depends on you.
Yeah, like whether crowd control is your thing and you want to control the elite or you just want to burst it down, that's also a possibility. It really depends on how you play. Another thing regarding the AI itself is that it's much more, I would say, adaptable to how you play. It's going to react differently if you're like going straight in and you're super hyper aggressive. They will react. If you take the slower approach when you hide, when you are more like cover shooter gameplay, it is a thing for you. They will also behave differently. So it's also like a big change to how you play and how you have to think about the encounters.
Exactly, and building even on top of what you said, you could probably hide behind some cover. They will notice that and try to maybe lure you out from it with grenades and stuff.
Yeah. They really got good at this.
Yeah, and now actually this is something that we also worked quite a lot. The rule of thumb we took in regards of this is the higher difficulty you're playing on, the more player-like enemies will feel. So for example, on hard and very hard difficulty, they will have a little bit more verbs that are similar to what player can do. They will throw more grenades, they will even heal themselves more often. As I mentioned, the Netrunner will also adapt to your difficulty level. The higher it is, the quicker the hacks he applies will be, and stuff like this. We really focused on this, building this world that adapts. If you are progressing your player, you have new abilities and new verbs to you. We wanted the difficulty to be kind of something for AI to maybe simulate something similar.
Mm-hmm. It's generally how we approach the game difficulties in general. We try to make it more about engagement and like how much stuff happens that player has to take into consideration and how important the effect of each of those action verbs is at current moment. Sure, there are like stats changes as well, as they have to be, but it's not about this. It's rather background, and on the forefront, it's about the composition of the NPCs and like their abilities and how active they are with using the abilities they have, because they have those abilities. Almost all of them they have across all the game difficulties. It's just they are much more proactive with them on higher game difficulties.
Exactly.
Okay, so essentially NPCs, AI will adjust their behavior to see what we are doing. But what about, like, I would like us to go more into the stealth gameplay that we are introducing in 2.0.
Sure.
So as we mentioned, AI itself will behave differently in regards to your stealth approach, but the stealth approach from the player's perspective changed vastly. We added a lot of new verbs for the player. For example, the ninjutsu perk that will allow you to sprint while crouching, which probably would look
A little bit funny.
In third person. So luckily we are in first person perspective. But this allows for a lot of opportunities in stealth in general.
And even it's a cool decision making thing, because it costs stamina. You cannot stealth in crouch freely. sorry, not stealth, sprint in Crouch 3D. So you have to think like when to do it, what your stamina is going to be, what will be like your how you'll act later on with the stamina that you have. So there are a lot of those like cool little decisions that you have to make, and it's much more fun.
Yeah. Another thing is the stealth netrunning loop we added. In general, we worked a lot on netrunner in the game from 2.0, but from now on, you will also have this new gameplay in regards to your stealth approach. There's a new system trace functionality that we added. Basically, it's like maybe role-playing a little bit, fighting netrunner with netrunner, that someone tries to stop you.
Or some kind of system.
Or some kind of system that will track that hey, there's a netrunner trying to kill our guys, maybe I'll try to trace him. Obviously, it's also in encounters that do not have netrunner in them, it's just our fantasy about it, but you know, there's this thing that you will have to progress towards not being spotted while hacking people.
Yeah. And think about, because not all quick hacks are traceable. And quick hacks are also traceable in like different on different level. Some are like extremely aggressive and like easy to spot, which makes the system netrunner to spot the player easier. And what do we mean by spot? Basically, your position will be revealed to all the encounter, and they'll know where you are, and they'll try to get you. So a player right now has to think like, okay, what do I value more? Do I want to make this aggressive push, get out, take one or two enemies with me because it's a good opportunity? I cannot go around them using regular stealth, or whether it's better to stay low and basically use my potential to the fullest while being hidden, and only then release the full potential of the playstyle.
Yeah. Another thing in stealth we changed is, in general, in Phantom Liberty, being this espionage, we wanted to add a lot more to the gunplay in terms of stealth. So there are a lot more silenced weapons play styles, and there are some combinations that weren't possible before. For example, from now on you'll be able to have a tech silenced weapon or smart silenced weapon.
Absolutely crazy.
Yes, yes.
It sounds crazy.
Yeah. So you can totally go for fully stealth gameplay type. In weapons in general, we work quite a lot, but sticking to stealth, we also added a super cool optical camo abilities in Relic Tree. So this one is obviously Phantom Liberty exclusive, but there is a perk that will slow down time when you approach, like when you start being spotted using optical camo.
Yeah. Or even get you out of combat once it's already started. Which is cool. And we also have like a very cool cyberware that can do crazy stuff, but we cannot reveal it due to story. But
yes, this one,
look for it because it's really amazing.
Yeah. Okay, so we're super excited to check out the new stealth loop, especially with the spy thriller vibes of expansion. It's gonna fit in right there. But while we were on the topic of AI, we actually have some questions from our community about that. So maybe let's jump into those. The first question is: has the density of NPCs and the intelligence of NPC AI improved throughout the entire map, or is it only inside Dogtown?
Obviously, every change to AI we made for the whole Night City. Every AI-controlled enemy will be revamped.
It's absolutely systemic.
Absolutely systemic. But that being said, obviously for Phantom Liberty, there are some custom encounters, for example, with bosses, and they are, as I call them, a little bit more custom. So for those to experience, you will have to have Phantom Liberty installed. But trust me, they're also super awesome, so I really encourage you to try them out, because we also focused on bosses.
But it's not like we have like some kind of Phantom Liberty specific systems for it. It's just the encounters that we have there use whatever we have slightly differently.
Okay.
Yeah. Plus there's Bargus, obviously.
As militaristic faction.
Yeah, as faction that is only in Dogtown, although stuff like Maxstack will happen everywhere in the map. So.
Okay. And the NPCs will be smarter throughout the entire Night City in general. Yes. Awesome. Another question that we have from our community is: are there going to be crazy drivers who don't work along normal driving AI?
Yeah, so we'll have not only like it's really hard to define like what do you call crazy driver, because for instance in
I
Night
am
City
crazy.
I'll show you my cam from my car. I'll show you exactly
Okay.
who are crazy drivers.
if you think like in Night City in this world, which is like extremely visceral, brutal, where those gunfights can happen on every street corner, people are like scared, you know. They will try to drive away. They will try to avoid whatever obstacle is there. They will basically try to get away from danger as they drive, and it's gonna also happen like systemically. On its own. And the cool thing about it is that often while they're like panicking and trying to get away from the bullets, they may cause traffic accidents themselves and increase on the havoc. They can even drive over the policeman, for instance, and be chased themselves. You will see gang members fighting themselves or running away from the police. And while doing this, they don't care. They basically, you know, they drive over civilians, they crash into other cars. Player can watch and just have fun observing what's happening, or take sides and help either the sides.
Yeah, exactly. And just one mention here that those car chases situations are fully systemic, fully AI-driven. Nothing is scripted, and they also would happen quite a lot if you would focus and maybe just observe or take part in them. But there are some cool moments with this as well. Like, for example, I believe I watched your playthrough recently that there was a situation in which you caused a gang member to be chased by police, like on purpose, kind of, or I'm not sure.
I was trying to get away from the police, and it was in Dogtown, which is quite crowded, and I was trying to find a spot to lose the police. And it so happened that the only corner I could find was like very close to a very small like gang. Nothing major. They were just, you know, hanging out, doing their daily stuff. And I was hiding them. And
Daily
basically
gangs.
they didn't have any beef with me. So they basically didn't care that I was around. But it turned out that when the police came to basically investigate the last place they saw me, it turned out that they didn't really like each other. They started fighting, and I basically would just walk away and, you know, enjoy the fight because they didn't care anymore, because they were basically fighting for their lives. And that's how I got
Just
away.
fetched popcorn. And
Yeah,
started-
pretty much. It was very fun.
That's also a strategy.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Crazy drivers, obviously, there's also a system overhaul of the car system in general, car combat, but also cars in general, driving and stuff like this. So,
Yes.
so if you shoot out a
It's so
tire
much
of someone, they will also try to like maybe panic a little bit, try to steer it, similar to probably.
Also, if you like use quick hacks on them, they also don't know how to react. They often like crash into things because of this. It looks supernatural, and it creates those amazing, you know, emergent gameplay moments that you can enjoy. Yep.
Nice. Okay, so it's gonna be super interesting seeing our players wreak havoc
Oh,
in
yes,
Night City.
yes.
Waiting
Yes.
for those
Yeah,
videos.
really waiting for it.
Cool, guys. So thank you so much. Before we go into the next segment, let's sum up very quickly. So we're gonna have new activities in the open world, the airdrops in Phantom Liberty. We revamped the combat AI a lot, so we're gonna have weaker enemies, we're gonna have stronger elites. There's also been some changes to both Netrunner playstyles for NPCs, but also for the stealth loop for the player. And we are gonna see some crazy drivers in Night City.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So during the last stream, we touched upon some of the builds. We actually showed to our players the solo build with Gabe. But I would like us to talk about the net running. We already touched upon the net running a bit earlier, but what can actually our players expect in terms of net running?
So first and foremost, the biggest change in net running, and we really focused on this one, is the fact that the intelligence perk tree is from now on fully self-synergized, and you are really able to dive deeply into the playstyle of a netrunner and really play with this fantasy. And the main thing that changed there is the fact that we moved smart weapons to the intelligence perk 3 plus, some other perks that will allow you to actively regain your RAM. So from now on, you don't really have to wait for it to regenerate. You can actually, upload some quick hacks on enemies, switch to your smart rifle, regain the RAM you lost, or maybe switch to your monowire, and then once you have your RAM back, you start hacking again, and it is more of a you have more choice to actively regain it.
But there's still the passive regeneration of RAM.
Yeah. There's definitely still passive regeneration. It's really much more about like the flow, the rhythm of how you quick hack and how you regain it. You have more impact on it. You can influence drastically how much RAM is regenerating. However, there are still plenty of options to do it passively, and there's always the cyberware, who basically at all times is trying to be there. If you think that something is missing from your build, cyberware will probably handle it and help you out. And this is it's a very nice pleasant change, because it's nothing obligatory. If you enjoy this active gameplay where you can regain the stuff, you can definitely do it. It's very rewarding. But if you prefer for this to work behind the scenes for you, absolutely an option, and you can even combine it.
Yes. Right. Plus, in general, we added some really cool perks and stuff for Netrunner. For example, there's this overclock perk that basically allows you. How it works is, once you if you have this perk, once you run out of RAM, you are able to use your health pool to be able to use it as a resource to throw hacks. So it, as you may expect, drastically changes how you play. You use your health pool, so maybe you want to think of cyberware to give you this armor to be able to maybe survive as well. It's also important.
It's a super cool perk, because it allows the player to basically think about his character not only in moment to moment, which is also important. Is it worth it even to cast this quick hack right here, right now, or am I putting myself into a too vulnerable position? But also on this a macro level, that okay, I love this perk, I love to using it as much as possible. So now I want to have cyberware that basically protects me when it happens, and there will be plenty of different types of cyberware and ways for you to build your character from the cyberware perspective around this one particular perk. But there are tons of other examples like this.
Exactly. From Intelligence 3 in general, we also added some really cool stuff. For example, the copy-paste ability, which is something super exciting. It's maybe a little bit OP in some situations, because how it works is the
perfectly balanced.
How it works is if the enemy netrunner is trying to upload some hack on you, you can upload some hack on him, and the hack you chose will spread among the whole group of enemies. And I will just throw it out there. There is a suicide hack, so there are some situations in which it could be a little bit OP, but we are fine with it, I guess.
Oh, you know what to do, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go try it out.
So we already mentioned some of the quick hacks, but what else can we do with them? Can we do a queue or combos?
Yes. In general, from Netrunner, we also worked on the queue functionality. The way it works, maybe we'll quickly catch up with how it works. Basically, you need to be a Netrunner, you need a cyber deck. Plus, you need a specific perk from Intelligence perk 3 unlock to be able to throw Q hacks on quick hacks. And in the base version of this perk, you are able to queue 2 hacks on one enemy that will happen consequently on one enemy. You are able to modify it to allow you to throw up to 4 with perk progression as well. The way it works is, obviously, as you might expect, they will happen once you queue 2 hacks on one enemy. They will happen right after one consecutively, but also the upload time of them will be reduced to differ from a situation in which you upload one, waited, and uploaded the second one. So this is the first gain from it.
And it's super cool because the stuff is that you may have like your favorite quick hacks, you already have it like all figured out, but now suddenly the addition of the queue makes you think differently about the quick hacks.
Yeah.
Maybe something that you were not using before, now because it's being able to be uploaded so much quicker, it's a completely different story. So you think about what type of cyber deck do I bring to a fight, what types of program do I bring to a fight, and it allows you to like experiment more and more with it. Two quick hacks queue is one thing, 3 is like a different thing, and then 4 is even different. It also reduces the amount of RAM it takes. So really, it's gonna take a lot of like skill to fully. The skill cap basically is super high for it, and but the reward is also amazing. Like once you get the feel for it, you're basically a god. But not because the damage is just high or the effects are so high, but because you did it. You were the one that were combining those queues in proper order, using those quick hacks at the right time, and using the proper cyberware and perks to accommodate for all of this.
With reduced RAM, it doesn't come from the base quick like hack queue perk, but there's a special cyber deck that will also reduce the RAM. And also allow you to combine those quick hacks in a queue in many more ways. Basically, as we mentioned, queuing quick hacks on one enemy, as Philip said, allows you also to maybe mix them up in more variant ways. There are combat and non-combat combinations that will allow you to have boosts to the stats that they gain to the enemy, reduce the upload time even more. And with this specific cyber deck, there's the combinations that you will be able to maybe sandwich combat hack in between two non-combat hacks, stuff like this. It will gain you much more bonuses and generally allow you to really find your Netrunner playstyle way more.
Yeah, you can be much more precise with how you wanna, what kind of Netrunner you wanna be.
All right, so we know what we can do to our enemies, but what can we do to cars?
Okay, so cars since 2.0 can be quick hacked as well. There are multiple. I don't know how many. I think 4 or 5 quick hacks are available. They become available to the player with the rarity of the cyber deck they use. And they're awesome. Like this is one of the coolest things when it comes to like the emergent gameplay that's happening in the city, and like what kind of fun you can have, outside of encounters, just driving the city and just having fun. Stopping police, exploding cars using remote control, just forcing them to speed up, and then you can force them to speed up while you take the off ramp from the highway, for instance. And there are like plenty of those like little things that you can do that basically not only are powerful on its own, but they create those unique, unpredictable situations that are fun. A lot of explosions.
Yes, a lot of explosions, a lot of driving. Like I love the remote driving. It's coming back to my memories from childhood. But to be able to do it, basically what you need is obviously a cyber deck. But there is a certain perk that will allow you to quick hack cars.
And it's very early on, so it's nothing like you can get it almost right away.
Yeah.
Awesome. I can't wait to play a Netrunner myself. Maybe I will finally give it a proper go.
Yeah, I think I'm going to respec into a Netrunner.
All right, so thank you guys very much for clarifying what we can expect in terms of net running as a player. So now, before we go to another segment, let's sum up quickly what we just talked about. So, we have the new queuing quick hack system. We can do amazing combinations with them. We have overclock skill to, even boost this gameplay. And you can hack vehicles and you can do whatever you want with them. Like you heard the guys, so, just give it a go.
Yes,
absolutely.
Crazy combos. All right, so next up we have one of the biggest changes, I think, coming with update 2.0, which is cyberware. I know we've changed a lot when it comes to cyberware. So maybe let's start with why did you even decided to change how cyberware works?
Sure. There were a couple of reasons. I think the first one was that we are thinking about cyberware as part of your build. You know, in a game like Cyberpunk, Night City, your skills and your character is just as important as the gear that you're having. It's a brutal world where this is just the brutal truth, and we wanted the cyberware to feel like this. It's basically something that is taking care of you behind the scenes. We were thinking about when we were designing the cyberware, we knew from the very get-go that we wanted the cyberware to support whatever play style you want to pick from the perks. Either pick the cyberware that basically brings this particular play style over the top, allowing to do crazy things, or if you feel that your particular build is missing something, cyberware is probably there to handle this problem for you. On top of it, there was this very important reason of argument for style over substance. It was absolutely crucial for us that we wanted for the players to not have to make this kind of difficult choice. Do I want to look like this or do I want to have the best stats? Yeah. No, currently stats are in the cyberware, clothes are for your looks and to represent your character, to feel however you want to feel. Sure, there are a couple of stats here and there for clothes, but they are not for the RPG sake, like power level of your character. But they're more even to like even more enhance this immersion and underlying the fact that they're just clothes. So you will see things that, for instance, Kevlar vests still have some kind of armor on it. But if you go and compare the Kevlar vest to like any basic cyberware you have, you know that basically you don't need Kevlar vest to be a tough guy in this world.
Yes, plus, we wanted the system to reflect on what is the world of Cyberpunk in general. Look at even the anime that is there already for quite some time, or even our characters in the game itself. Look at the Kurt Hansen character. He's like a tough
Beefy
motherfucker.
guy, yeah.
He is the dog of Dogtown. You'd probably expect him to sit inside of his apartment, trying scared for his life. But no, he's out there. He doesn't wear a Kevlar vest.
Tank top rather.
Yeah, he wears a tank top. And in this world, why is that? Yes, because at this high leaks, people gain those stats from Chrome. Yeah. And we wanted this fantasy to also be in the game because, as Philip said to you, we really saw your fashion crimes, guys. You no longer have to find every piece of the clothing that will give you some of the stats. But that being said, as Philip mentioned, there are still some stats if you really want to min-max your character. Yes. And have every piece of armor you can get.
Every little
edge. Or, for example, there is a Netrunner headpiece that will give you some of the quick hack time upload speed reduction. But those are minor stuff. But if you want to min-max, you can still do it. And we have transmog in the game still, so you are able to have those stats on you, but look.
Still
decent.
Look good.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And have different like sets of how you look. That's also very cool.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a lot of changes to cyberware. If I am a player coming back to the game with my existing save in update 2.0, what does it mean to me? Will the game tell me how it works? Explain it?
Yeah. So basically, one thing that you can expect is as you go back to the game with your save, you will get a quest. You'll be called by Victor to visit his shop, and there will be a tutorial explaining all the new mechanics. We have a completely new cyberware panel where you'll be able to see the cyberware capacity. We'll probably be talking about this later. Armor and explaining where's what and how it works.
Awesome. So there's gonna be a short quest to explain that. But yes, speaking of capacity, because that's very tightly connected to our cyberware. It depends on you have the limit of capacity, and on it depends how much cyberware you can wear. But what would happen if if I have too much cyberware, can I go over this capacity, and also can I increase it somehow?
So first and foremost, you cannot strictly, we don't allow you to exceed this limit. You will not be able to unless there is one situation in which you can unlock a Edge Runner perk that will allow you to exceed this capacity by 50 points by the cost of the max health of your character. And with this perk, it's actually another example of our role-playing and playing with the fantasy of the world, because you just exceeded your cyberware. Now you have you are over the limit, and with this perk, there's this fury state that you can enter during combat and in general in the game that will give you some of the damage and crit chance boost. But it's something that we wanted to also play with the fact that you decided to change something in your character, and there is this state that you still control your character fully. It's not cyberpsychosis, but it's maybe something that you can think of in similar ways.
You can act like a cyberpsycho.
Exactly, role play.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw Edge Runners, this is basically the David Martinez perk.
Yes,
Yeah.
even the icon.
Yes.
The downside for it is that your health is reduced at all times. But this only adds to this weight that there's a reason why there is a limit, because there's just so much your body can handle, and you cannot go over this limit. And this adds like more gravity and weight to every single choice that you make, because there's just so much to choose from, and it's up to you what do you think you need the most, or what do you enjoy the most, to pick those to complement your build.
All right. So there are, I know, some items and some perks that also affect both our capacity for cyberware, but also some cyberware slots.
Yes. So we have like new items that we've added. It's actually one of my favorite items right now, because whenever it drops, I'm like, I have like this huge grin on my face, because it can basically speed up my the time where I can get my new cyberware for like by one level or something like this. So there are items that drop that we call them cyberware capacity shards, I think, and they optimize your system so that essentially you can just basically get more cyberware. And we even have a cyberware dedicated just to increase your cyberware capacity.
That's so meta.
Which seems like crazy, but this cyberware is extremely powerful, and I can't wait for people to like try it out.
Exactly. There's this awesome perk. It's called, I believe, Cyber Connoisseur. Yeah, that even adds, if you unlock it, it even allows you to have a choice between two stats while upgrading cyberware and stuff like this. It's all super good.
So you already told us about this cyberware that allows you to exceed the capacity. I mean, make it more. Anything else that you could spoil for our players? That's some new cyberware that is coming.
Like one of my favorites is that we added the cyberware for hands. It's not a smart link. It's not. It's a general cyberware that basically reduces the stamina cost while shooting. And with this cyberware, it's quite costly. But with this cyberware, you can reach basically like laser accuracy with most weapons. It's really amazing. Other than that, I don't know, a couple of other examples. We modify like biomonitor so that now it takes care of you. It's basically whenever you can heal and there's a need for you to heal, you're being damaged, it automatically uses your consumables, injector or inhaler, and it's super nice because you don't have to worry like about your health you have to worry about your health, but you don't have to worry about healing. You have the certainty that it will do this job for you. So if you're like in the midst of battle and you want to just focus on shooting down the enemies, you can, and the health, you don't have to be distracted by the health because the cyberware will basically be protecting you. And also cool because you don't have to it's going to work under the hood, meaning that you don't have to like cancel the shooting to have the animation of healing yourself, because it happens at the same time.
Nice. Okay, on the topic of cyberware, our community was actually wondering whether we would have different types of the same cyberware. So, for example, different types of mantis blades.
So yeah, this is still a thing. Different types of mantis blades would deal different types of damage, for example, electrical, chemical, and stuff like this. But from 2.0, we added way more to it. For example, there's different cyber decks that allow you rather not for specific effects, but rather allow you to attune it to a specific play style you want to have. So there's cyber deck that will play very well with stealth net running, and there's a cyber deck that will allow you to have more of the monowire combat enhanced for
aggressive Sandevi stance, defensive Sandevi stance,
Yeah.
which it's really like a theme with many things where particular cyberware or group of cyberware, they do a similar thing when it comes to like their functionality, but they do it so differently that it's really up to you which one do you prefer most. And it's even really cool to basically switch them up from time to time while still building your character, growing from your perks and everything. But just mix this thing up as you go, because maybe you feel more comfortable with your build, maybe you learned or mastered the, let's say, I don't know, dash or any other like wrecking ball, and maybe you can swap something for something else.
Exactly, we wanted you to, even if you already make a decision that I want to have this play style, okay, this decision is made, but I still have some options to choose from. It's still.
All right, so we're going to have a lot of cyberware to choose from. How about players that don't want to get implants? Is it even a viable playstyle?
So basically the rule of thumb here is we do not penalize player from having cyber at any point in the game. There is no effect that you would have because you have cyberware. Plus, I would rather say that we encourage you to have this cyberware because maybe armor itself isn't the main reason here, because you probably can play without armor for at least for lower
Easy,
difficulties,
yeah.
and for
I think up to hard, it's totally possible. It was actually one of the reasons why we also made the cyberware change. That players can like previously. Players always had this armor with them because they were just picking it up from the clothes as they were playing the game. So at all times you had some kind of armor. Right now we fully support no armor playstyle up to, I think, hard difficulty.
Yeah.
On very hard it will be really challenging,
yeah,
I think.
exactly.
But this is like connected to this question about the humanity. This is a very powerful decision in this world. You know, not installing the Chrome. This is like the reverse of everybody is doing, which makes this choice even so much more like meaningful. So I think it's totally possible. You don't have to install it, and you'll do fine. But you need to know that the game will be significantly much more difficult.
I also think that if someone wants to roleplay as the purest
Yeah, exactly.
human, it's already a little bit impossible because you have some of the cyberware by default in Cyberpunk anyway.
Right, so we have another question from the community. So we've heard about the new relic perks adding new features to the Mantis Blade, the monowire, and the PLS. But what does it do for Gorilla Arms abusers like me?
Gorilla Arms abusers. I love this phrasing.
My kind of person.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot for Gorilla Arms abusers. In Relic Perks tree, there's this really awesome perk that allows you to charge up your Gorilla Arms while fighting with them. And once charged up, you are able to perform this really powerful one-punch attack that basically deals massive damage to the enemy you are punching, plus
Shockwave.
has this shockwave that staggers nearby enemies and maybe knock them out with progression of this perk later on. And if you happen to kill the enemy with it, you basically
Which we will.
which you will. You basically turn this person into Neil Armstrong, and you send him to the moon. He never comes back. But there's a lot more to it in Relic Perk tree.
Actually, the whole relic tree is all about cyberware.
Yeah.
From every single section, it's a really cyberware-oriented skill tree because it's related to the story and Songbird, and she's doing the stuff through the relic. to basically enhance your cyberware. It's very powerful. It's very distinctive. You can go either on the offensive side with it, or on the defensive side with the self
optical camo perk. But my favorite one in Relic perk tree is about vulnerability analytics. It also plays this narration of connecting with cyberware, because technically you need Kiroshi to have it, but you have Kiroshi in the game anyway. But the way it works, it's basically the system analyzes the enemy for you and looks for some weak spots in the enemy, maybe broken cyberware or something in the enemy itself, and it shows it on the UI on the HUD overlay of the game, which is basically those red squares that you will be able to shoot. And it does not only deal massive damage to the enemy, but it also explodes while you hit it.
I like how they explode.
And it's an EMP damage, which can also be relevant against certain types of enemies.
Yes.
It's really cool. This one really took me by surprise, because I didn't really appreciate until I actually played it how sweetly it changes the way you play the game.
Yes.
You have like this flow of like doing the headshots, trying to shoot them, and now the moment the vulnerability appears, you have to make this little decision. Okay, should I switch it up, change my aim for the bigger payoff, depending on where the enemy is, how far he is, how damaged he is, and it constantly keeps you engaged and like it's just very fun.
Yeah, it adds to even the choice of weapons, stuff like this. But it's awesome.
It works with melee weapons as well. So.
Exactly. Yeah, it's maybe a little bit harder, but with melee. But
I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah.
So it could work in basically almost any build.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's just repeat that the Relic perk tree is Phantom Liberty exclusive. So today you will not be able to play it, but soon.
In a few days.
In a way, yeah.
All right, so now we can sum up. And yeah, so guys, you have new cyberware coming. Some of the changes to cyberware, which, for example, one of them is the capacity. So make sure, to check your limits, check your skills, check your perks. If you can go further than that, if you want, go for the Edge Runner perk and see what it does. And, another bigger change is the armor is now coming. Not through cyberware, through cyberware, sorry, not through the actual clothing.
Okay, so cyberware was a very big and very impactful topic, very visible in the game. But now let's talk about something less visible, but I think as important as that. So all of the balance changes and economy changes. So balance, we already talked a little bit about the changes to AI. Now maybe let's focus on economy. So I know that now we're gonna get a little bit less loot. There are some price changes. So can you talk a little bit more about the intent behind it?
Sure. I think that the first thing that players will notice is that there's generally less loot on the level, dropping from the enemies, and it was important for us so that player can like really focus, on the story and like not break this gameplay into two phases where you clear the encounter and then go around the encounter and you feel like the scavenger who's picking this stuff from all over the place.
Yeah, every time.
So the loot is more meaningful this time around, and clothes are no longer dropping from enemies. We didn't like this from the fantasy point of view. You're supposed to be merc. You choose your loadouts, your gear, how you look in this world. It shouldn't be some random chance. Plus, it just didn't feel right, to be picking up
your wardrobe from dead bodies,
that you just massacred with mantis blades or grenades and whatnot.
With holes inside.
Exactly. So that's a very nice change, in my opinion. What else? Oh, and the coming back to the fact of being mercenary. You will notice that you get much more money from the rewards for doing the quests and the gigs and whatever the fixers are setting you up with. In this world, it really wouldn't make sense to risk lives in this extremely brutal environment if you weren't paid properly to afford the cyberware and weapons and other toys like cars, apartments, and
yes,
etc.
exactly. Plus, you can make it really tied to your specific character you want to be. Plus, vendors, one thing to mention here, they will also change up what they have in stock. So it's worth revisiting them from time to time. Different small thing we also worked on is how thematic the vendors are. Maybe a vendor in city center would sell you more, style over substance, golden weapons, and the black market vendor would sell you illegal weapons, stuff like this. So that also plays along with this fantasy of deciding what is your gear, what is your clothing, who you are.
Wow, that's nice. So less loot, but I will be earning more eddies from gigs. That's pretty nice. So speaking of that, our community actually had a question about it. Like, how big will the new item loot pool be regarding weapons, cyberware, and mods?
Yeah, I think we shouldn't talk about numbers here, probably. Obviously,
give us a week.
Yeah,
maybe
we have
can
to count
it.
them. Yeah, we have to count them. But I would say that. Let's answer this in a way that we obviously added a lot of items to the game, especially to Phantom Liberty expansion. But listen, we literally took every item in the game that was already there, redesigned it, rethinked it. As I mentioned, there's no stone unturned, so we probably should, from gameplay perspective, answer that every item in the game is a new one. So. Countless.
There isn't a single cyberware which is the same. There isn't a single gun which is the same. Like all stats, all handling, grenades, inhalers, quick hacks, absolutely everything has been changed.
Wow, so basically all new loot pool for our
Plus
players.
a lot of new items that weren't in the game. Yeah.
Exactly. Obviously, let's clarify that does not mean that all weapons will have new models, stuff like that.
No.
We're talking about gameplay
Gameplay.
perspective right here. Yeah.
Okay, so while we are on the gameplay perspective, what about crafting and upgrading items? Because I know this is like a very hot topic within our community. Like, where did the crafting go? What's happening?
Sure. So crafting is still very much a thing. Actually, I would maybe even say it's more of a thing because it's not like tied to the tech tree, at least not directly. Meaning everybody can craft craft weapons or upgrade iconics or upgrade even cyberware. This is the new addition that we've added. In tech tree, there'll be perks that will make the upgrading process maybe simpler, easier, because you will have more components, you'll have more choices when it comes to upgrading. So what do you want to upgrade into, for instance, the cyberware? But as a baseline, everybody can do the upgrading and crafting. And it's just a matter of how do you want to, be involved in this loop. The cool part is that you'll be finding some extremely powerful recipes in the loot. So this will also probably play a factor whether you'll be engaging in this and how you'll be engaging in this.
Exactly. We didn't want to introduce this bottlenecks into the system, so we wanted every possible playstyle to have an option to use this super powerful tool, which is crafting and upgrading. I know, Alicia, you asked me previously, why did you change this?
Yeah, because I went into full tech tree just to be able to craft legendaries. My legendary Overwatch I love it.
You'll be able to do it still. You'll get your points back, and if you choose to go back to tech, there's there are some big payoffs at level 20. So I think
Okay, I will check it out. Maybe Netrunner, maybe Techie. We'll see.
One thing to mention here is that components that you use in crafting and upgrading, they are not purchasable. You'll have to find them in loads. So guys, good luck in airdrops.
Yeah. But this makes them so much more exciting, and you're happy when you get them. Also, the whole upgrading is streamlined so that you only need a single type of component to upgrade, which it's like a nice quality of life change for the people.
And we are talking about the upgrading. I think what's worth mentioning here that we replaced the old rarity levels with new ones, right? Can we maybe explain a bit more?
With tiers. Yeah. So currently they're called tiers. Basically, every couple of levels, player will advance to a new tier. It doesn't happen it's not like a hard cutoff point where suddenly you are on the next tier. It's just the items from the next tier will become available, both from the loot, from enemies and chests, containers, etc., and also at vendors. With each new tier, new types of items are introduced. New weapons, new cyberware, quick hacks, and other things. So this is a big change, definitely. We changed it primarily to allow players to play with their weapons for as long as they want. Previously, weapons were scaling with each level. Their damage was scaling with each level. And players were, when they saw a new gun that had this green arrow, up arrow on it, they were often, just switching it up. And we didn't like how it was controlling the way you play instead of giving you the freedom to role-play your character. So if you really care about using pistols, like me, I really didn't like this moment when suddenly having a shotgun dropped makes me change it because it's just more powerful. I didn't. This fear of missing out was just too powerful.
Exactly, and this is also a theme in a lot of changes that we are talking about today. We looked at our systems and we found all the places that kinda, instead of introducing choice, we are deciding and respecting this choice and having an actual decision making left for the player. We felt like we are making this decision for them. So here, obviously, this is something that we really wanted to put emphasis on. But with those loot changes, with tier changes, that does not mean that weapons have, the leveling up does not mean anything for the weapon system, because with higher levels, better weapons will be dropped from loot. So this is also something that will play along. Plus, with loot, vendors will change their stock, for example. So it's worth revisiting different vendors in the Night City. We also
from time to time you'll see the next tier loot in there, and if it matches your playstyle, it's definitely something worth consider to get.
Yeah, you're ahead of a curve sometimes.
Yeah, I think that the biggest change is that player has this time, where he can really appreciate the weapon he's having, have fun with it. Check it out and not worry that there is this next gun that will take this away from me. And it really completely changed the dynamic of how you're building your character and how much you can role play it. So this was, I think, the biggest one.
And with upgrading, the gun can grow together with the player.
Yes, however, we are no longer upgrading guns themselves. You can upgrade iconics, but not the guns.
Okay. Iconic weapons.
Iconic weapons, yeah, of course. Cyberware as well.
Yes.
Okay, so I know we have some changes when it comes to the stamina. So what can you tell us about that?
So first and foremost, with stamina, the biggest the thing we wanted to achieve here is give player ability to move around the Night City freely without being annoyed that the stamina is running out when you are sprinting, for example, from quest to quest. So those movement verbs no longer use stamina, that is sprinting, jumping. Obviously, some of the movement verbs that are more combat related, like the crouch sprint we mentioned, or dashes, stuff like this, also will use stamina. But the general idea behind it is that the mobility of player is not being controlled by stamina resource. But stamina resource from now on will depend on the recoil of the weapon. So shooting the gun will drain the stamina resource. But a very important message we would like to put here is that it does not mean that we are introducing this recoil mechanic to the game. It does not mean that the weapon handling will be worse. It's the opposite. This recoil mechanic was already in the game. It was behind the curtain. We were controlling it fully, but again, as with a lot of changes that we did,
you could feel it somehow, through how the weapon behaves, how the reticle is shaping up, etc. but it was very obscured.
Exactly, it differed from weapon to weapon, but as with many changes that we are discussing today, we wanted to take away this decision from us and give it to the player. So stamina resource is a perfect way to do it. We decided that from now on, this behind the scenes system will be controllable by player, and by adding it to the stamina, by combining it with stamina resource, we were able to put a lot of decisions for the player. You are now able to modify how your stamina is behaving with perks, with the different abilities, cyberware, modifications on weapons, a lot of stuff. And
even like just watching your stamina as you should, and like comparing the behavior of the weapon, the aim that you can get, on high level of stamina versus no stamina, it's very different. And then different weapons use stamina also differently, which allowed us for the weapons to be much more how to say, like farther apart, more unique, and have their own characteristic. They had the characteristic, don't get me wrong, previously. We're just doubling down on this.
Exactly, and maybe there's a lot to maybe affect this handling from the player perspective rather than accepting it. Yeah.
It's clear. You can like see it, and you can expect what happens, because by the way stamina works as you should, you see the difference. Like it's really noticeable, especially for certain weapons, which is also cool, because if this is not something for you, which where we enjoy those very accurate weapons like sniper rifles or pistols, there are definitely weapons which are like softer on the stamina, and it's like their theme.
Yeah, plus it plays along really well with what Philip was describing before, which is the tiers system. Because because of the tier system got reworked, you are able to stick with one weapon for a bit longer now. That means one of the things you will notice a lot is that you will be able to actually play around with this recall and stamina system, and maybe find a weapon that actually suits your how fun it is to shoot, how fun it is to play with it, rather than what's the damage on
and also like the distance, that depending on what distance you're playing, it also is a big factor how you look at those things. And one important thing to add, probably we should have told about it earlier, is that weapon tooltips, where you will no longer see this DPS, big DPS number that was pretty much defining the weapon as it is.
Arrow up or down.
Yes, but instead you'll see a set of like bars about like the damage of the weapon, like single damage of the weapon, rate of fire, handling, and some other stats.
Distance.
And you should be basically looking at it, and this will give you some glimpse of what to expect from the weapon, whether it fits, but then you should just try it out and see if it's your thing or not.
Yeah, that's a lot of changes. I mean, that's why I've been going into crafting, because I could keep my weapons for longer.
Exactly.
So I'm happy that it's now available for all players.
Yes, this is basically what we wanted to achieve on the global level, without the need to like maintain your weapon with a crafting. It's still a thing, definitely. So for those of you who have your beloved iconic, you'll definitely be able to like maintain it and master it.
Okay, moving on to other types of weapons, we haven't really touched upon the smart weapons. I know that they are now connected with the intelligence attributes. So what else can you tell us about that?
So with smart weapons, this is another awesome change. I really love, one of my favorites in terms of weapons. What we changed is how the target locking works on smart weapons. That's the biggest change we focused on. And in terms of smart weapons, the way it used to work, when you were aiming with your smart weapon, a lot of targets on one singular enemy were chosen, and while shooting, the bullets went to those targets. And currently, it's reworked in a way that first of all, we added a time
lock on time.
Lock on time, so it's not instantaneous, and I'll touch on that in a second. But second big thing we added is that from now on, the target on singular enemy that is chosen by smart weapon is just one singular target. So if you are shooting from hip, it will be usually torso. But if you are ADSing, this will usually be but basically it will be the best possible spot on enemy's body to shoot it. it could be ahead, but with vulnerability analytics, it could be this weak spot on the enemy, or maybe there's something more to it. There's some I don't know, broken cyber inside of the enemy, or something that will be chosen with the smart weapon for you. And as I said, we added this locking time to it, and this allows us to add a lot of synergies between perks
and
depth to like player choice, player progression of smart weapon play style rather than singular smart weapon.
And even like choosing which smart weapon you want to use, because the differences between smart weapons are like they've never been as big as right now. They vary in like the shape and the size of the reticle. So how easy it is to lock target, to get it into your frame, but also like the distance, the speed of how quickly they are locking on the target. Again, even though smart weapons are in the intelligence tree and they fully synergizes with the Netrunner playstyle, you can totally use smart weapons as like the fast reflexes character who is like zooming around the battlefield, doing a lot of 180s, in a very agile manner, and like pick a smart weapon that basically can catch up with you while you're doing all of this cool stuff. Versus, for instance, if you're a body character, which is like slower but sturdier, maybe then a different set of smart weapons could be a thing for you, and it's like totally supported.
Yeah, basically from 2.0 smart weapons require less aiming skills, and maybe to be more efficient with them, you actually have to spend a little bit more time planning ahead what I will do with this weapon. So it plays along with this fantasy of who would use this smart weapon. Probably a person that actually sits down, opens perks, reads descriptions, plans out modifications, stuff like this. So basically, we made smart weapons actually smart.
Yeah, but that for sure. Talking about the being smarter, you can now, for instance, lock onto a target while actually losing the line of sight. So you can go around the corner and like still maintain shooting at them. And even though you don't see the character on your character, as long as it's locked, a smart weapon will find its target, and it's really amazing feeling. Yeah. Super powerful, like in the fantasy of a Netrunner, someone who can shoot your enemies from behind covers, behind corners. Yeah.
Okay, guys, so really cool smart weapons, smarter weapons. How about another thing? How about ammo? I know that we have changed something in terms of ammunition for different types of weapons.
Mm-hmm. The main thing in ammunition, or rather one of the things we changed, is from now on SMGs will no longer SMGs will use pistol ammo. It seems like a small thing, but it has huge consequences for the player, because we were able to introduce this subtree in the reflexes perk tree that allows you to progress both SMGs and assault rifles. So the fact that SMGs use a different resource from now on than assault rifles, because rifles will use rifle ammo and SMGs will use pistol ammo, allowed us to introduce this type of a playstyle that I am efficient with two types of weapon, but they use different type of resource. So while shooting SMGs, I'm not running out of ammo for assault rifle that I have in my backpack, and I want to switch right away. So in general, this is something that plays along with. Again, with a lot of changes that we did, we put this decision from player that actually makes sense right now. And with ammo in general, it's way more generous from now on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have much more ammo available to you. And so it drops more often, but also you have like more capacity.
You can craft it as well.
You could craft it, but you can still craft it. It's cheap and accessible, so there shouldn't be any problem with this. It's a funny thing with the ammo, because it really, the moment where it like struck us that okay, we need to increase the ammo capacity was when we were watching Gabe, our game director, playing the game, and he was like a huge fan of vehicle combat, and we were watching him, basically driving around the city and like wreaking mayhem with the encounters and police and whatnot, civilians everywhere. He was basically like full auto spraying all the time and getting out of ammo. And like, okay, yeah, we need to increase this.
That sounds like Gabe.
Yeah, it's very Gabe.
Quoting him, he likes to do that.
All right, so last but not least, I know our community already spotted that in our gameplay materials, but this is something that, you know, we've also wondered when we were playing the game. Changes to inhalers, grenades, injectors. What can we say about that?
Quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a big one because it seems like a small change, but this is actually one of the first things that we did when we were switching to 2.0, because this is the thing that allowed us to basically took a completely different approach to balancing the game. Now, previously with players sometimes having 3 of the inhalers in their backpack, some players having 600 of them, it was really impossible to balance the game and knowing like what is the difficulty of any given encounter, because it was just so much different depending on the player. And second of all, we didn't like the fact that whether you win the encounter or not often depends on how quickly you just press the D-pad button and heal yourself. It shouldn't be about this. Instead, it's much more about like tactics and thinking, you know, when to use it, but also be aware of the limit that you have. And since it's a charge-based system right now, at all times you know how much of the inhalers you have. You don't have to remember it, for instance. And on top of it, they've become much more powerful. So you won't be needing to like a couple of whiffs, you know, to top up. And allowed us to invest into it from the cyberware and perks alike. So for people who like enjoy this and like want to have this backup, there's definitely a lot of stuff that you can play with, which even increases like the decision making on like when do I want to use it, because maybe it increases the recharge rate or how much I heal.
Exactly. Plus, maybe I'll repeat myself, but it is really important for us that, you know, the fact that you were able to actually have 600 inhalers in your backpack took away the decision of do I want to heal or not, because the answer was always yes. If I have an infinite amount of them from technical point of view at that point, why not heal? I can heal ahead. I can just, you know, learn to heal every 2 seconds, and this is my playstyle now. This is something that we really wanted to be a conscious decision that, hey, I need to take those 2 guys out, then focus on elite. Probably I'll have to hide out and heal myself.
Maybe then do the reload.
Yes, so like then I will have to wait for first the recharge of my healing item, so I'll be able to hack, whatever. Stuff like this that actually have like conscious decisions during the combat were super important for us throughout all changes.
Yeah, and with this one, it's really hard to overestimate like the profoundness of this change, because it really allowed us to look differently at the balance of the game. And I really like it did so much good for the game in general, like where you wouldn't expect it, like for the boss fights, for those encounters. It was we were like the process of like balancing this took us like 9 or 10 months. So we really were very invested in this change, and we stand by it.
Plus, we wanted to actually, something we mentioned before with AI, but we wanted to, for different difficulty levels to be actually different. And this, you know, infinite healing ability was just removing many options from us. But from now on, you know, the healing in general is fully synergized with perks. You can fine tune it to however you want to play. Plus grenades, obviously, it's not only about healing, it's also grenades, because it changes up how many grenades you can throw, how fast they will recharge.
And every throw counts.
Every throw counts. Obviously, we probably should mention, as with a lot of things, we also reward grenades in general, stuff that, you know, maybe we touched on explosion ranges, on damage themselves of grenades themselves, but even we introduced a lot more synergies to different playstyles of using grenades with something else. Like, for example, my favorite thing to do is you know, throwing a recon grenade into a group of enemies, switching to my smart rifle, and the locking time, because
it's instant.
Not instant, but it's almost way instant. Faster.
Yeah, it's like almost instant. It's super cool combo, and we have like a lot of things like this thanks to the charges we can. Every single of those items can be more powerful, but at the same time, you know, some people really enjoyed like the fact that they could like heal all the time, and still with the proper perks, with the proper cyberware, you can get this feeling where, you know, this is always available to you. It's just a choice right now rather than a baseline.
Yes. All right. Cool. So now let's go quickly over some changes to the UI that I know that a lot of our community will be excited for. First of all, the minimap. We already, a couple of patches ago, we already made it zoom out when you go into the car or onto the motorbike, but now we're adding even more changes, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So with Minimap, the main thing we focused on is making it way more clear, decluttering it, making it consistent throughout the whole
Gameplay.
any situation, be it combat or outside of combat. One of the things you'll notice right away is the cones on Minimap. From now on, the moment you see a cone, it only means the fact that this enemy will react to you in some negative way, be it starting combat right when it spots you, or just reprimanding you. But the cone always means that this enemy will react to me somehow, or even we really focus on the police system and how cones actually mean that, if I hide in this corner there, how the vision of the police will be there. Like, will they notice me? Will they not?
It's very clear right now. Also, red dots, for instance, red dot means this NPC character knows about you. They will be looking for you. They consider to be in combat with you, and it's consistent. Like whether you're in an encounter, in a quest, or in open world activity with prevention system and whatnot.
Okay, but on top of that, we also have that it zooms out gradually.
Yeah, dynamically. So basically the minimap zoom out is dynamic and it adjusts to your speed of your car. Also, with when the prevention system is active, the zoom out is also different to show you like where the police is coming from. This is a very important change. It allowed us to be to have a much deeper and more engaging gameplay look in there in general. And big kudos to our programmers, because this was not an easy change for us to do. We basically had to rewrite the whole streaming system for the minimap. We didn't even know whether it's possible, but we just knew that it's super important, and we went for it, and it's great. It works like a charm. So big kudos to the programming team.
Super cool that we're changing it. I know that our community will be thankful for that for sure.
For sure.
And another thing that they're gonna appreciate for sure, because I know I appreciate that, is the change to phone UI.
From now on, we wanted basically player to be more in these shoes rather than opening the big overlay on the screen every time they want to access their weapon. So from now on, you have an option to see the phone in the HUD in the game instead of opening the whole overlay on the whole screen too.
Yeah, and I think there are like different tabs that
yeah.
unread is being shown at the very top. So it has a better feeling of an actual phone now, in my opinion.
It's much more intuitive, and the flow is
Yeah.
definitely much better. And it's nicer to look at as well.
Yeah, for sure. So that's also something that I know a lot of people were waiting for the new phone UI.
Yeah, you use it quite a lot in our game.
Yes.
Messages from Pana.
But we've been talking also a lot about cyberware, but the entire UI screen of cyberware, both in the journal that you come, or also at the reproduct, that also changes. Can you talk about it, about different elements of that?
Yeah, sure. So basically the whole panel is new. The loadout is still there, but where the categories are, the paper doll in the middle is completely new. It's beautiful. Like when you zoom out on the specific categories, you see the cyberware that's being installed. It looks sick. It's really something to gaze upon. On top of it, you'll see that on the left-hand side, you have the cyberware capacity, which tells you basically where you are in terms of this resource. Each tooltip for the cyberware has also been changed. You'll be able to see dynamically when you install or when I swap out certain cyberware how much more capacity or less capacity it's gonna cost, because it's important, because sometimes you'll find yourself where you wanna uninstall like 3 or 4 cyberwares just to get this one particular one. And same goes for armor. So whenever you're installing cyberware with armor on it, you'll see where you will end up being, and you will also have information like what's the general defensiveness going to be.
Plus, we worked a lot on how the perk tree looks like in terms of UI, because it may sound like a small thing, but for us it's a huge topic of how logical the sub branches of the tree are. What are from now on you actually, when you spec into something, it will be reflected in the tree. I have this left branch of reflexes. It means something actually for you, for your character, for your play style.
With the perks, it's also important because you can plan your character much easier. From the get-go, you know where this is leading to. And you can get excited about this stuff or this stuff. You know that I care about this up to this point, and then I want to invest somewhere else actually. And as those trees grow, it's really a cool thing. Seeing what's highlighted, what's not highlighted, and just the shape of the tree tells you so much about who you are in this world. And it's a magnificent, amazing world by our UI designers.
I think speaking about the perk trees, we can remind people that they can reset their attributes once,
yes,
and perks anytime they want, and they can do it one by one, right?
Yes. But important thing to mention, you can only reset attributes once.
Yes.
Even if you didn't have save before, we allow it for you to happen only once. And that maybe let's quickly talk about why we did this. From our perspective, as you probably heard today quite a few times, we wanted the decisions about your character, who you are in the game, your play style, to actually matter. And this has to be a conscious decision. So from our perspective, if you spec into specific attributes like body or whatever, it builds your character's identity. And we didn't want for our players to be able to change it because they earn some eddies and they can change who they are. It doesn't really work like this. You can do it once, but basically the attributes are something that really connects with the player with the character. So we wanted for it to be super conscious and important. But that being said, the perk themselves can be refunded at any point.
And you can do this one by one, which is a very cool change.
Yes.
We actually had this, for debug purposes for ourselves, and we just liked it so much that we decided to give it to players, because why not? And you don't need to do the whole revamp to basically end up with the same build, except a couple of ones. You can, try it out. If you don't like it, check something else, and the flow is superb.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. And also a little reminder that we have this build planner, our online build planner. So if you are afraid to commit to some build in game, you can, check it out on the website, build something for your character, and see if maybe it will work with the points, with the perks, etc. So feel free to check out the build planner.
For sure.
But also journal. There's a big change. I love it.
Yeah, with journal, I love the fact that from now on, you obviously that one of the things that I really anticipated, you can untracked quests. Yes.
Finally, you don't have to be reminded about going to Hanako every second.
But there's a lot more to it. In general, we work the visuals of it, but
it's much nicer.
It's much nicer,
much more cleaner.
Yeah. But there are some fun stuff to discover there. For example, when you look into a quest description, there are some contextual actions you can take. For example, read the text message that is connected
to the phone.
Yeah, some shards maybe that are there. Even the filtering of quests by distance or the time of update.
It's much more useful.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, distance is nice, so I know where should I go first, basically.
Yes. If you want to optimize it by distance, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So pretty much that would be it when it comes to all the changes that we wanted to talk. But we have one more surprise for our community, which is the new mini game called Trauma Drama. So make sure that you find the right machine and you just check it out and see how it goes and see you on the leaderboard score.
I mean, you guys watch out because this is addicting.
Oh yeah, and it's a bit more difficult than the Roach one, at least for me. But yeah, it's very very
more
cool.
complex a little.
Yeah,
bit.
I love the naming because we actually one of our gameplay teams is called the Trauma Team.
And there's a lot of drama. Total coincidence, though.
Yeah, we did not suggest it.
Okay, so we can now move to the Q&A session. Those will be questions from our community that they dropped them on our forums and Discord. So without further ado, let's go. So the first question about designing the gameplay of our character by the skills and perks, will we be able to reach more diverse gameplay?
Oh wow, this is a big one. Before we decided that we want to do the whole perk rework, one of the first things, we didn't have like a single perk at that point yet. We knew that we wanted to at the end achieve at least one thing, that with the perks there won't be like one go-to or two or three go-to builds. Like we recently released the new Night City Wire, we present three builds. Those are just three out of many builds. We wanted all the trees to be able to combine with each other, to find some kind of synergies between them. And I remember it was one of the most rewarding maybe times when around like 2 or 3 months ago we were before like locking things down, checking whether it's still there, and I was worried that we didn't get it for like the body and cool combination, that it's not working, and maybe we can switch it up somehow, and it turned out that it's actually one of the most powerful builds that we have in the game. I just didn't see the connection, myself, but a couple of gameplay designers, told me that, it's extremely powerful. I won't be saying like what it is, not to, this should be like the discovery for the player, but yeah, versatility is definitely there. You can go like all into a particular tree, it's gonna be great. You can do like a combination of 2 or 3, it's gonna be great. Or you can even be like a jack of all trades and go into every single tier, every single tree, maybe not as deep, but you'll have answers to like all the situations, and you'll be an extremely versatile character. I think that even the one of the coolest perks we have is not the big milestone, but there's this one secondary perk that allows you to get a +4 capacity points for each attribute above level 9.
Yeah.
And this is such a build enabler. So there are a lot of things where player can find themselves in those.
Plus with verbs that player can use alone, you can throw bodies, deflect bullets, hack cars, there's
Dashes,
stamina.
dashes are super
Dashes.
cool.
Yeah, there's
and
so
air
much
dashes,
to it.
air dashes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's that's also the thing, that the builds are much more distinctive. They're much farther apart from each other, and you'll have a completely different playstyle depending on what you pick and how much you invest into it.
Okay, so the next question is connected to perks actually. Do we have to start a new game for the new perks, or will they be available to existing level 50 maxed out players?
They're all available to everybody.
You'll have to reassign the points because basically the moment you install 2.0, you'll have to go to your perk trees, and you will get the amount of attribute and perk points to what you had before, and you'll have to reassign it. So hopefully you are prepared with the build planner already.
Yeah, guys, if you start the game, you have to spend like, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours just creating
Just
your
like
build.
character customization all over again.
Yes.
But from gameplay perspective.
But with this question, I'd really like to also encourage people trying out the game from the get-go, because the leveling curve is totally different, and not only the speed at which you gain levels is different, but even much more importantly, how quickly you get access to those build-defining abilities, verbs, is also much shorter. So it's not like you'll have to wait long for getting the cool stuff. Absolutely not. And you'll constantly have something cool to look at, to strive. Like, it's going to be either the cyberware that you care about, or the perks, or the combination of the two. And it's just all the encounters, even in the boss fights, they'll also play differently. So I really encourage you to play the game fresh. It's going to be a different game for you, because you'll be someone different, maybe more defined in the story as you're playing this. But obviously, I know that we have those players who love their characters. They spend so many hours into those. Absolutely, we support just loading the save and having fun already at like the maximum level.
Okay. Will the relic perk skills cause any negative side effects to the player?
With simple answer is no. There are no perks in the relic tree that would have any negative effect. In general, with our perks and verbs, we tried not to introduce any penalty. We decided not to introduce any penalties for the player. There are small exceptions to this rule. For example, the Edge Runner perk that will make you introduce that decision. It can reduce your health if you decide to go into it, or the overclock mechanic that will use your health once you run out of RAM. But as you probably see, all of those situations are a conscious decision by player. There are no situations in which something will happen to you passively. They are always led by the decision of you. And again, Relic Perk Tree, Phantom Liberty exclusive, so not yet there, but yes.
Okay, but connected to Relic Perk Tree, we actually have a question whether the perks from Relic Tree will be usable outside Dogtown.
Yes, so
Those are yours.
those are yours. You have to be able to access Dogtown to use Relic Tree, Perk Tree because of Phantom Liberty, but once you have it, you can use it anyway.
One misconception is that in order to level up your Relic skill tree, you need to have access to those like data points in Dogtown, and this is slightly different mechanic or maybe it's just a different dynamic to how you level up. And we really encourage people to explore the environment, find those spots. They're a little bit hidden, but at the same time they are luring you in a way. I don't want to spoil anything. In order to progress, you need to be in Dogtown, but you can use them whenever you want.
But luckily, after my last playthrough, I noticed that I actually missed some of those, and after you already discover them and miss it, just like I did, they are on minimap. They are visible on minimap, so you can come back to them.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so the next question. Will we be able to use those new melee finishers while sneaking up on an enemy?
So this one is a little bit tricky to answer because, first of all, those finishers work only if the enemy is already on low health. So technically, there are some situations in which you can probably damage enemies to low health, run away, wait for them to spot you, and try to use, for example, some stealth abilities like optical camo, go in and try to perform a finisher.
You said the fight and go in again, but probably it's not the most efficient way to play the game.
Probably not.
Not worth it. Plus, on higher difficulties, they will just heal. But there are more better ways to do it. Like for example, the ninjutsu perk, which allows you to crouch sprint to an enemy, grab him, and finish him like this. Plus, with finisher, I think we didn't mention is. You are now able to use those finishes on throwable knives plus monowire. Yeah, and throwing knives, we kind of skipped it in this discussion, but really
due to lack of time. But check it out.
Check it out. They have their own sub tree in the perk tree. We know you love them. We love them a lot. They are
one of my favorites for sure.
We will see probably a lot of videos.
Hopefully.
For sure.
That's a very cool deal.
They are very graphic.
Nice. Okay, so now we're moving on to vehicle combat. Does the choice of vehicle matters? Is it okay if I go into vehicle combat with my Mai, or should I pick something bigger?
Definitely. This couldn't be. Actually, it's super realistic because it's all physics based. If you have a car which is sturdy with small windows, you will be. It's going to be very difficult for the enemies to shoot you. If you're driving in a small car, the opposite. If the door pops off, suddenly you become more vulnerable, but not in general, but only if the enemies are from that side. So this is very natural. I love this actually, even though I have to at first I was against it, but then I played it and it's the best.
Exactly.
So you have those little decisions. How do I position myself against enemies using this? And there's just so much to it. The weaponized guns. Whether you pick a car with Gatling guns or rocket launchers. It's a completely different story.
Plus, cars in general have different health pools, so bigger, tougher vehicles have more health than a sports car, let's say.
Bigger tires, smaller tires.
Yeah, and even, how they react to collisions, stuff like this. So there's a lot to it. By the way, car combat and those topics. Huge kudos to
Vancouver team, yeah.
Vancouver, like North America plus Europe work together on those changes. So like big kudos, because those are really, like, this is a different game in terms of cars and how they handle.
Handling of cars is completely different.
Yeah.
I think every single car was touched.
One thing I'll quickly mention here is that it also matters what type of vehicle your enemies use in terms of the AI, because they could have some exposed tires, for example. You shoot them and the tires explode, they start panicking, and it's whole new rampage fun.
You can destroy the fuel ports, and they're like, each car has their own fuel port, which is like in different place. So you need to learn where they are. But if you do, and you are able to actually shoot it, there's a big payoff.
So a lot to what you like.
So much strategy goes into
that
combat.
like you need to know like which car the police is bringing, because when they'll be like trying to crash into you, it's gonna be a different thing when they come in like the Hala, or whether they come in some kind of SUV, or maybe even the heavily armored combat vehicle. I don't even remember what it's called, but it's huge, and you don't want to smash into this thing.
Okay. Is the vehicle combat reserved for specific cars only? And what about motorcycles?
It's not reserved for specific cars, and you can use it on motorcycles. But on motorcycles, there's way more to it, because we added a melee combat to motorcycles, which is so awesome. It's you can role play as this samurai on a motor that you just drive to an enemy, slice them up. Damage of the katana, for example, scales with speed, which is like if you actually want to just drive by and slice someone, it's totally...
It's not easy, but it's super fun.
It's not easy but fun, and also a lot of melee verbs work on motorcycle combat with melee. For example, you can deflect bullets, you can block upcoming shots. Also in car combat in general, you can use Sandevistan, for example, in cars, stuff like this. So yeah, it's melee combat on motorcycles. Check it out.
Yeah, and you can use either pistols or SMGs. This is the new addition, which is very cool for those like drive-bys and like just shooting down some goons. And a couple of cars just have built-in guns.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the next question. Can you just play expansion quest without playing through the main quest line, like in The Witcher?
Yes.
Like standalone expansion.
Yes, we leave this choice. It's similar to Witcher. You can either play from base game fully to Phantom Liberty expansion, or if you decide to, you can play right away from Phantom Liberty. We just simulate the base game for you, the choices that lead to the Act 2 in Pacifica, after you meet with Placide, after you meet with Brigitte and Alt, then Phantom Liberty expansion starts.
Yeah, and you start at level 15. You will have a quite versatile all-around build. So it's nothing like very specific. It should like fit everybody, but it's definitely playable. You don't have to like respect the perks immediately. You can play around, see what works for you, what doesn't. Even invest from this build farther down the line, or just switch it up to whatever you want at any point.
All right. So the next question. In the new trailer, some of the guns say illegal on top of them. What does it mean?
They are not legal. That's
Why?
Next question. No, but
so illegal weapons are basically weapons like from regular manufacturers that were modified in Dogtown in this gray area. So you don't really know what's in there. They are more dangerous. They are more like extreme versions of the normal guns. So they have like bigger payoffs, but also like bigger disadvantages. Whether it is about like handling or the reload or the effective range. All of those things can change, but the guns are like even more prominent when it comes to their own style and character. The cool part about it is that you have like plenty of options in your character progression to mitigate a lot of those downsides, effectively, you know, reducing the negative side while still maintaining all the positive sides.
Yeah. You can buy them on Black Market, plus in Dogtown, and Bargus uses them
So
as
they're
well.
Phantom Liberty specific.
Yes.
Yes.
Bargus uses them as well. You know, they are quite mean people, and they would use illegal weapons definitely.
All right, so the last question for you guys, and it's like more of a personal question. Do you have any fun moments to share from the development on Phantom Liberty, something that made you laugh?
Oh. Making games in general is fun, so it's hard. But I think I have one. It happened some time ago already, and maybe I will not go into like the technical specifics of it. But there was a moment I'm sure you remember this, Philip, as well. There was a moment in which we basically had to make sure that appearances in our engine work properly. And the way we approached it is that we decided that the fastest way to make sure that those are right is to change the ones that aren't, so we see it clearly. And we decided, I'm not sure if it was a conscious decision or it happened by chance, but the way it happened is that those improper appearances got switched to be a chicken. So for like a week, we were able to drive chickens. We were shooting from chickens sometimes.
And there were a lot of chickens on the street.
Yeah, yes. There was one specific scene that I saw with Old that had a chicken in it that I will probably remember for the rest of my life, and it scarred me. But yeah, happily, obviously, this was only development.
Was Old chicken?
No, unfortunately not. And I would prefer for Old to be a chicken in this particular scene, but unfortunately she wasn't. And obviously it was only for development, and it lasted for like a week.
For me, it's going to be a boring answer because I don't recall anything like this, like a specific situation, because, you know, it was like work a lot. Like this was really intense time. Maybe the most fun I remember is, you know, after all of those risks that we took, because it was basically like an all-in situation. I don't think we could have gone like more extreme into the amount of changes we did. So seeing this all come together and like actually playing it and getting the feeling that we were aiming for, this was the definitely like the rewarding and fun part, and just playing the game, you know, once it was already in shape. So sorry, but this was the maybe not so fun, but genuine answer, definitely.
I mean, making games is fun.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's an amazing process.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So this is all of the questions that we had for you today, and all of the topics that we've already talked about. So let's sum up. We have airdrops in Phantom Liberty. We have combat AI, which is reworked, and it's super cool. We have netrunners. We have elites when it comes to new NPCs. The stealth loop has been reworked. The net running is amazing now. Of course, it's been cool before. Then we have changes to the economy and to the balance, so you won't be dropping and picking up a lot of loot. Euro dollars now have more meaning. We have tiers instead of rarity for our items. What else?
UI changes, a lot of UI changes.
Yeah. Vehicle combat,
Vehicle
driving,
combat,
police. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot.
So that's a lot, and I hope you guys will be able to check it out. So right now you probably are either downloading update 2.0 or already playing. So if you are playing, hope you enjoy it. If you haven't downloaded it yet and you're playing on PC, it would be good if you uninstalled your mods, because they can, you know, not work well with the new update, and wait a few days or weeks until the modding community can upgrade them. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. In a few days, on September 26th, you will be able to play Phantom Liberty on PC, Xbox, Series S and X, and PlayStation 5. And if you are curious about the sizes of the update, Amelia, could you share those?
Yes, of course. So for PlayStation 5, we're looking into 33 gigabytes. For Xbox, 38 roughly, and for PC, 24.
Thank you so much.
And yeah, so as you guys probably remember last time, we teased the surprise for the content creators, which was a Support a Streamer program, but now we actually have something for you. So be on lookout for Twitch drops that will be starting once Phantom Liberty is out. The website with all the details will be also revealed very soon, so just stay tuned for the details and jump on Twitch to actually get those items because these are really cool. I almost swear there.
Yeah.
I already used the swearing ticket, I think.
Yes,
the
one per stream.
One
Yes.
per stream, yeah.
Sorry.
It's all right.
It fits.
It fits, yes. Do you guys have any last words to our community before we wrap up?
I guess thank you. Some of our changes, maybe not, rather we know what type of things you really love, and we put a lot of emphasis of making those a little bit more awesome. But in general, we see your support and it means a lot to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here with us today, and I hope to see you guys next time. And yeah, let's go play 2.0.
Oh, yeah.
Play it.
Thanks.
Play the game.
Play it.
Play.
Thank you
definitely.
guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.